Wow, stories.
"25-year-old female and 25-year-old male. I need advice and input. I have asked my boyfriend if he agreed if I anonymously put this online for input. I'd like to know if I'm massively off for this. The situation? We purchased a house a few months ago. We share equal ownership. We got approved together. Initially, his father did not want me on the house. He didn't want me on the title or the deed. He is a nice man, but that is his son. I would be paying half for everything that includes a house and living together. He insisted I not be on it, in fact. So much so that our realtor reached out and informed me that he wanted to be out on in place of me because, although I said no, he tends to do things anyways. Realtor informed me in passing. I'd already known that he didn't want me on it, but I didn't think he really actively didn't want me on it. Red flag. Anyways, I'm not dating him. My boyfriend was okay with this because it's just my dad, he wouldn't screw you over. Sure, I get that, but that's not how that works. I have been with boyfriend for 6+ years now. Realtor and I informed father-in-law that I am needed. My credit is needed to apply for this loan. It's a first-time homebuyer's loan. My boyfriend applied too, as it is our first house. Father-in-law couldn't apply for obvious reasons. So I was put on. Initially, they tried just my boyfriend's credit to apply. It didn't work. Too much debt, he just bought a car a year before, and a bunch of cards open. He wasn't in debt, but just had debt, if that makes sense. That's where I come in. I had no debt, no cards. One card, but paid off. No assets, really. And a steady payment on bills in his name. Good credit, but I lacked debt. When combined, as the agents told us, it evened out. I basically took some of his debt. This got us approved. I also had a terrible job while he had a nicer one. I paid equal to him. We helped each other out. If he needed extra and I had it, he got whatever I had and still does. He did the same for me, just showing we had even workloads. When we got approved, his dad offered us $20,000 to fix it up so we could get tenants into the upper floor and we could get more money. We used the money to update everything, but I had to take time off work for that. At everyone's prompting, I cut hours at my job until ultimately working full-time at the house. My boyfriend and I had an apartment at the time, so I was still paying equal to him, while having no hours or job. I'm sure if I asked, he could help me, but I sacrificed so he could save more, as money is a big stressor to him. It doesn't bother me at all, but it is a factor, because at his prompting, I quit my job. I put full-time work into this house. I worked 10, 12 hours straight every day for almost 2 months to get it up to speed. My father helped some, and my boyfriend helped when he could. This was some weekends. He normally couldn't because of work. Understandable, I consider this equal. I work on the house all day while he works. This $20,000 goes into newer floors, countertops, toilets, etc. All aesthetic things to make the house worth more. His father very frequently brings up how we argue. Even when it's small, it's an argument. And he says, we won't last, and sometimes jokes that he should be put on the deed so he's safe. He said the $20,000 is a gift, but only if we stay together. My boyfriend and I agreed that we would pay him back regardless, and even more for all the other things he has done. Fast forward to last week, his father gifted us some fruit trees. We were very grateful, I was as well. He arrives at our house to help plant, and he says this tree should go in the center point of our yard. I disagree. It is a small yard. Our bulky pit bull pup has no self-control and would snap it since she runs full-speed zoomies, etc. She also likes sticks, and it's a baby pear tree. I said I disagreed, listed the reasons why, and said if any tree, I think the one with flowers, as it's bigger and is a centerpiece. I was very clear he was mad. He said if I was not going to take care of a tree, he would take it because he paid for it. I said go ahead and take it then, because I don't want a gift that comes with conditions. I made it clear to say that I didn't really care where else a tree stood in the yard, as long as it was not center-focused or where the dog runs. The center has baby grass coming up, and the place he wanted to plant it had grass, some of the only healthy grass in the yard. I explained that I did not want it there, especially because we planned to put a raised garden box over there, and it simply would look silly being so close but so awkwardly spaced. He was still mad, but I said what I said. My boyfriend was not privy to this conversation and came outside. We moved on and all went to the front, discussed placement of a couple trees, and agreed on placements. I was asked to fix the porch by father-in-law. They went to the back discussing an invasive plant we were going to dig up. I stayed in the front for maybe 20 minutes, realized I needed help, and came to the backyard. There stood the peach tree in the center of our yard. His father beaming, my boyfriend helped plant it, obviously. I tried not to be angry, but when his dad said, "Hey, how do you like it?" I said, "I have no idea why you were asking me that when I already said that this was the single spot I did not want a tree." A small argument ensued, and I'm like, "You already dug the hole, and you knew I wouldn't want to move it once it was in place, because then there would be 2 holes." His dad, with a smile, starts going, "No, we can just move it." All agreeable. I said, "No, just leave it. Damage is done. Just never mind about it." But to his son, who only saw me come to the backyard and get mad, he starts hacking away at the ground, ruining more grass in the process and moving it slightly to the side. He was angry and even got told by his dad to chill out and stop digging. He did not. The result was me staying quiet while they tore up the little grass we had to place the tree, still in the center but off to the side. Still in the spot, but I'm exhausted, so I'm just shaking my head. Boyfriend is pissed. Any question I ask, he ignores. Any question his dad asks, he says to ask me, because I control everything, even after the conversation of me telling him what his dad did and how he already asked, and I said, "I'm good with anywhere but this spot." He was still mad at me. He was actually dead silent nearly all day. Ignored me entirely. This happened at 1 p.m. It went on until 6 p.m. He said he feels embarrassed and I control everything. Refused to elaborate. A mini argument ensues. I say again how I was already asked, and his dad went behind me to get him to agree. My boyfriend also admitted he did not care where the tree was. I asked the question of why did you plant a whole tree in the center of a tiny yard without thinking to ask me? I also asked if by chance that spot was his dad's idea. He said yes, money issues. He has car appointments for new car and he's nervous about interest rates. Also, fender bender, so insurance. My reasons for my stance is I worked very hard for things I have. I've been homeless, been screwed over. In fact, something similar happened to my mom, and she was screwed. We were homeless as a result of some fine print nonsense diminishing what we could get if our house was sold. If they want to sell and your percentage is low, they can buy you out. I remember being in court while my mom fought to not sell because it was our home, and we had no place else, and the money she'd get if she sold was not enough to pay for another place. We didn't have enough on the spot to pay for the other 3 halves. We didn't win. My BF is aware of my distrust and why. Even after this, my own mother threw me out a few times as a child. I did not have a stable upbringing with adults I could trust, and I was raised without family around. My reasons for my stance is I worked very hard for things I have. I've been homeless, been screwed over. In fact, something similar happened to my mom, and she was screwed. We were homeless as a result of some fine print nonsense, diminishing what we could get if our house was sold. If they want to sell and your percentage is low, they can buy you out. I remember being in court while my mom fought to not sell because it was our home and we had no place else. And the money she'd get if she sold was not enough to pay for another place. We didn't have enough on the spot to pay for the other 3 halves. We didn't win. My BF is aware of my distrust and why, even after this, my own mother threw me out a few times as a child. I did not have a stable upbringing with adults I could trust, and I was raised without family around. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You need to get yourself a lawyer because they are setting you up to take the house away from you. How did you make it so far into this relationship, not realizing that your father-in-law hates you and that your boyfriend has no spine? Right now, your father-in-law has your boyfriend convinced that you are not trustworthy and are doing sneaky things behind his back. Do not sign anything. Do not trust your boyfriend or his dad. Wake up, get yourself a lawyer, and get ready for things to get even uglier. I would say try to talk to your boyfriend, but it seems he has made up his mind to believe all the lies his dad is saying about you. Update me. Comment too. How the frick did you write this whole post and still wonder if it's bad that you're put off by this shoot? If I were you, I would dump this dude whose umbilical cord apparently goes right to his dad's butt. Firstly, he allows his father to manipulate your relationship. Second, he said some incredibly rude shoot to you. Third, he's trying to gaslight you into thinking that you agreed to his father being on the deed. What the frick? It's pretty clear that your father-in-law is pouring poison in his ear. Do you seriously want to live like this for the rest of your life? Get away from these men. Freaking run. Now for the update. Thanks for all the comments and advice on my last post. Here's what's been happening since then. So, after the whole tree mess, things just spiraled. My boyfriend's car needed more repairs than we thought, and the insurance company was dragging their feet on the fender bender claim. Money was tight and he was stressed to the max. I tried to be supportive, but it felt like I was just another item on his list of problems. Then, out of nowhere, his dad drops another bomb on us. He wants to talk about the $20,000 he gave us. Turns out, it wasn't a gift. It was a loan, and he wants us to start paying it back with interest. My boyfriend was just as shocked as I was. We had no written agreement, nothing. His dad just changed the rules. We argued, of course. I felt betrayed, not just by his dad, but by my boyfriend too. He didn't stand up for us, just nodded along like it was all fine. I was fuming. I've been down this road before, and I wasn't about to let it happen again. But wait, it gets worse. My boyfriend's sister, who's always been a bit of a hectic card, decided to stir the pot. She told me in confidence that their dad was planning to use the money we'd pay back to help her buy a place of her own. I couldn't believe it. Here I was, busting my back for this house, and they were planning to use my money to help someone else? I confronted my boyfriend about it, and he just shrugged. Said his sister was probably lying or exaggerating. But I could see it in his eyes. He knew something about it. I felt like I was being walked all over, and I was sick of it. Then, the final straw. I found out that my boyfriend had been talking to a real estate agent about selling the house, without telling me. He said it was just in case, that we needed to be prepared for all possibilities. But I knew better. His dad was pushing for it, I could tell. They wanted to cash in, and I was just an obstacle. I had to make a decision. I could stay and fight for what I thought was right, or I could walk away from the mess. It was a test of loyalty, not just to my boyfriend, but to myself. I remembered my mom's struggle, the feeling of being powerless, and I knew I couldn't let that happen again. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I called a lawyer. I wanted to know where I stood legally. I wasn't going to be pushed out or bought off. I was half owner of this house, and I was going to make sure I stayed that way. The lawyer was a godsend. He helped me understand my rights, and even suggested a few options I hadn't considered. I felt empowered for the first time in weeks. When I told my boyfriend, he was furious. Said I was overreacting, that I was making things worse. But I stood my ground. I wasn't going to be the quiet, compliant girlfriend anymore. I was a partner in this, and I deserved to be treated as such. The aftermath was ugly. His family accused me of trying to take advantage of their son, of being ungrateful for everything they'd done for us. But I knew the truth. I was fighting for what was fair, for what we had agreed upon when we bought this house together. My boyfriend and I are still together, but things are strained. We're trying to work through it, but I can't shake the feeling that his loyalties are divided. And mine? Well, I'm loyal to myself first now. I have to be.